Hey, everybody. Okay, we wanted to get reset. Donald Trump should be calling us in about a second or so. So what I'm going to do is I prepare for that. We want to ask him a couple of things, and one about the Romney-Paul ticket. Hello, Mr. Trump. How are you, sir?
How are you?
With it. Let me get right to it on accountability. I mean, in my humble opinion, the apprentice success is based on accountability. You bring people into that room, you either fire them or you tell them what they did right or wrong. Everybody wants more accountability in Washington. We know you're behind Romney. Is he going to bring it to the table?
Well, I really believe he is. I've gotten to know him very well, and he's a tough guy. He's actually a very nice guy, but he's a tough guy, and he gets it. And you know, probably over the years, you've been hearing me speak a little bit. Maybe you don't want to even listen to it anymore about China, what China's just ripping us and what they're doing to us. And he gets China. He gets OPEC. He understands that OPEC is driving oil prices up, and nobody else even calls them. Nobody else even talks to them. They have no fear. They have no worries. And, you know, we're lining their streets in gold. So the OPEC nations are laughing at us as stupid people, and that won't happen with Mitt Romney. He's going to be really good, really tough, and he gets business, which is important.
Well, obviously, people know that you and Romney are going to match on items of money and finance and that sort of thing. How about the people who are on the other side of the spectrum that are saying, yeah, I know, but that's already working. That system's working for these two guys. How about for me? I mean, is he a man of the people that way?
Well, you want to know, I think he's actually more inclined toward helping the people that really need the help, which is people that are poor, people that are moderate income, people that don't have the income, and maybe, more than almost anything, the middle class, because the middle class tends to be forgotten by everybody, and that's really unfair. So I really think Mitt Romney is going to focus on that much more so than any other group, much more so, frankly, than the rich, which is okay with me. I can tell you that much right now. I think he's really going to be focusing on people that need help, and he's all about that, and I know that for a fact.
Look, Mr. Trump, a lot of people like to tease you about you were almost going in the race and then you didn't go in the race. But no matter, even your detractors have to get a kick out of the fact that you'll just tell it like it is. I mean, I would say humbly that you would tell it like it is more than any of the four guys we saw on the panel last night, maybe with the exception of the one you don't like so much, Ron Paul. But let me ask you, why can't they say things like you can just say out there? And the other half of that is, was that one of the reasons you didn't want to jump in after all, because it's too much politics in politics?
Well, you know, I loved what I was doing, and, you know, the day I left, I was leading in the polls. I was doing great, and I really liked it. But I also love what else I'm doing. And I started seeing something in Mitt that I really didn't see in anybody else, and I really think he's going to do a good job. I think he's going to do a great job. As to why they don't quite speak that way, I guess it's more politically correct not to speak the way I speak. I think it's probably safer not to speak the way I speak, but I do tell it like it is, and you know, some people love it and probably some people don't, but it is the way it is.
All right, before you go, speak to the concerns that folks on the GOP side have about every once in a while one of the other candidates surging ahead of Romney, and then Romney sort of the slow and steady, turtle type. Is there going to be concerns in the general election?
Well, I think he's going to do great. I think everybody in the general election, when it comes right down to it, I really think everybody, all of these groups where you have a surge and then they go back, and then you have another surge. I mean, the one thing you have to say about Mitt Romney, he stayed very consistent. He's a very steady guy, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. He's a really steady, solid rock. And I think what happens is after he gets the nomination, I really think everybody's going to get behind because they just don't want Obama. And maybe more importantly, they're going to want him. He's a good man who's very smart, very sharp, and he's going to stop these other nations and lots of other things. But among other things, he's going to stop everybody from taking advantage of the United States.
Hey, Mr. Trump, we were talking a little while ago about how odd it was, at least for me, that Joe Biden was chosen as the vice presidential candidate by our current president. Now, as you probably know already, there's this big buzz going on. Santorum, after last night's debate here in Arizona, was telling the media he thought that Romney had some sort of a deal with Ron Paul, much publicized that you're not a big Paul fan. I mean, what's your reaction to Romney potentially putting Paul on his ticket?
No, I don't see that at all. I see other people, but I don't see that at all. And, you know, I like Ron Paul. He's an interesting guy, but he loses me when he starts talking about Iran and, leave them alone, let them do whatever they want to do. Then that's where I get lost, and that's where a lot of other people get lost, frankly. No, I don't see that happening at all.
All right, last question for you. I know you can't come up with a real name in this situation, but if you were Mitt Romney and you were close enough to being in that kind of a situation, would you be looking for someone who's moderate, someone female, someone who's a so-called maverick? What would you be looking for a running mate?
Well, I think probably a lot of people are talking about Marco Rubio, who's excellent, and Chris Christie is excellent. He's a great friend of mine and just an excellent guy, and he's going to have some good choices. The governor of Virginia, people love him, Bob McDonnell. And, you've got some great people in this Republican Party, and I think he's going to have some – it's going to be a hard decision for him. You have a lot of really good people. But if things keep going the way they are, and if your gasoline prices start hitting $5 and $6, I'll tell you what, it's not going to be such a close election. The Republicans are going to win. Mitt Romney's going to win.
Well, I got to tell you, everybody does the same joke, but I'm going to do it to you because you're a very, very busy man anyway. So, Donald Trump, you're fired, my man. I'll see you. He's gone. Okay. That's the way we just bounced him right off the show. But great to have him on. I'm glad he really gave us a phone call. There you have it, Donald Trump on the Jim Parisi Show. We'll see you guys tomorrow.